From Daytona, Florida, we are here at Init Esports, folks. I'm Mike Noss, joined alongside Sagar Bakshi. A big warm welcome to everybody for the Team America Talent Scout event. We are back, folks. This is the second iteration. The 2026 Talent Scout event is back. We have some returning names. We have some new names and a load of people on the grid here tonight. It's going to be GT3s for the car category and the class. Now, for those that just watched the 24 hours of this race not too long ago, it's a very familiar track, and a lot of these drivers also participating in 24 hours races themselves. So the preparation for this race is going to be through the roof. Now, as we get into this event here tonight, again, I'd like to introduce us both. I am Mike Noss. Joined alongside me tonight is none other than the Sagar Bakshi. Sagar, how are we feeling? We're back for Team America.
I am so excited to be here, back with Init Esports, back for Team Talent Scout USA, and at a very familiar track. It's Daytona. For 65 years, we've held the Daytona 24 hours for the second year in a row. It's a Team Talent Scout USA event, and it's time to throw down the gauntlet. Who's going to come out on top, Mike?
That's going to be the question that we're going to have to answer later tonight. The field in the qualifying, or the free practice, I should say, we had drivers matching each other down to the 10,000th, down to the identical lap time in iRacing. So to be honest, it's anyone's cards. We have previous winner Jordan Johnson back and so many other names that we'll get into shortly. But before we do, I'd like to take a big moment to welcome all of our partners that we have along for us on the ride here for Team America. We of course have our new partners over on Roku and Esports Edge. So if you are looking to watch us on television, yes indeed, you find folks out on track are going to be on TV over on Esports Edge on Roku. We're also live on YouTube, Twitch, and of course over on eClutch as always. And now, also, we get to mention the fact that we have our new partner as well with us, Regadget. So if you're looking to find yourself a PC, or send in your old PC, if it's a hunk of junk and you have it in the corner and you're just going to throw it out, don't do that. We can send it out, get it refurbished, and get it out to a family in need. But more on that a little bit later, Sagar. Let's talk about the race format that we have here for tonight. We don't have just one race. In fact, no, we have two races in the GT3 cars here in the Daytona road course. The drivers, they are going to be tackling the 3.5 mile or 5.7 kilometer road circuit, and also taking to that very, very steep banking. It's 12 corners, 6 to the right and 6 to the left. So tire wear not going to play too much of a role out there, but with a pit stop in the mix here potentially, no, probably not a 20-minute Sagar. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about this circuit?
But the drivers will have a fast repair available to them to get back out on the circuit quick, fast, in a hurry should they be involved in any sort of incident. We have a track length of 3.56 miles or 5.73 kilometers. I know myself and Mike, we don't know what a kilometer is. I hope you do, folks. The track was founded in 1959 as a road course, but we didn't go sports car racing until 1962. We are in Daytona Beach, Florida. We've got 12 corners equally balanced, 6 to the left, 6 to the right. We have only about 28 feet of elevation change, and all that's really happening on the high banking, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be a track that looks straightforward on paper, but we do not drive on paper. We have that infamous chicane that we have to tackle, the bus stop, as it's, well, no longer called, unfortunately, but it's still all called it in our hearts. But it's the Le Mans chicane now, as we all, of course, know it as, but it's still the bus stop. But no, neither here nor there. We have the of course, other parts of the track as well, the midsection. But before we get too deep into it, I'd like to remind everyone that we have more than just Daytona on this calendar. Yes, indeed. We have Red Bull Ring coming out next for Team America, but we also, of course, have our all-women series in Screen to Speed. We get to head over to Alton Park for the Formula V's, a little bit of a throwback track for round one. That's going to be February 15th, just 15 days away. And if that is interesting to you, head over to initesports.gg for more information. Signups are available available, and we highly recommend you get on grid with all of these lovely ladies. And of course, Red Bull Ring in the GT4s up next, and plenty of other races. As we often like to say here at the Team America Talent Scout, people often ask, what is this exactly? Is one race going to qualify me to join the team? Well, no, not necessarily. This is a distribution of races and multiple categories, multiple car classes, and multiple skill levels. We're looking for the best of the best in everything. So we're not looking for a particularly great GT3 driver, even though maybe we will be at certain times, but we're trying to see who is going to be the best in broad categories. Of course, as we head to various Nation Cups, with sim racing being a part of these Nation Cups, Team America will be represented there. So we'll get to see some LAN events, some potential online stuff in the future as well. So certainly keep an eye out for that as we announce that more in the future. And also, of course, sign up to our newsletter where you can find the first information for that. But that's enough babbling on for right now, Sagar. You can see the lovely, lovely carousel that we have on circuit. And also just a big warm welcome to everybody that is joining us, whether you're watching us on YouTube, Twitch, or any of the 5 streaming platforms that we're on, Esports Edge, or of course, eClutch. We thank you all for joining us and hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. The racing action tonight, Sagar, you briefly touched on it. It's kind of up in the air when it comes to who is going to be where is going to be what. We don't really have any predictions, I don't think, because of course this being the first race of the year, we saw quite a few different drivers that are quick. In fact, we saw some drivers that we met at PRI. So of course, in it being at Performance Racing Industries out in Indiana, we got to meet some of the drivers. Roman Lee was one of them. Of course, we got to meet all of the Jordan Johnson, Xander Reed, and various others. If I didn't mention your name, of course, we still love you, of course, and plenty of others as well in this race. So Sagar, in terms of it, Eric Halsband being another one, Brian Toyer, but just a small handful. Lots of drivers to keep an eye on out here, and also lots of different liveries we're going to be seeing. But we're going to see, though, and we'll just address the elephant in the room right now, is a lot of Porsches, Sagar.
Yes, we will see a lot of Porsches as we are running the standard BOP here, or the iRacing balance of performance. And you're very right, Mike, especially talking about the last year of the Talent Scout USA. We were at Bristol, we were at Watkins, we were at Indianapolis, we were at Sebring. We tested a multitude of cars, we tested a multitude of tracks, and this year we're doing the same thing. We're really going to be testing the fortitude of these drivers. What are they truly made out of? Can they climb back from a back row start and work their way up into a points paying position for this heat? Or can they climb up further for heat number 2? We're not doing a reverse grid, but race 1 results will set the grid for race number 2. So if you didn't get a great qualifying in, perhaps you can make it up over your race pace. Mike, I know we've talked about this amongst ourselves before. We're more of a my race setup is my qualifying setup type of drivers, right? So we can perform well under race conditions rather than outperform our skills during the qualifying session. So maybe some of these drivers are equipped like that, and perhaps a 20-minute session during the race is good enough for them to prove what they're made out of. 40 minutes, we're really going to see some shining stars tonight.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be really difficult, as you mentioned, for drivers like us in terms of the qualifying driver not being able to set a quali lap. Because I do think it's going to play a massive role here, because the issue is we have some drivers, some big names out there. Again, your Roman Lees, your Jordan Johnsons, your Kelton Quicks even that we're looking at right now. These are drivers that are not going to be weak in any of the sessions. They're going to be both strong in qualifying and strong in race pace. So trying to catch them out and force a mistake is going to be very difficult for them. You're just going to have to be on your best performance. And a lot of these drivers, I mean, being the elephant in the room, the 24-hour race that we had, not last week in the real life, but the actual virtual one being a few weeks ago, a lot of these drivers have a ton of practice, some of them probably over 24 hours driving on this track in the past couple months. So it's going to be a game of tenths, and I would even go as far as a game of milliseconds here for Daytona.
It really will be, and we saw that in practicing. Identical lap times coming out from P1 and P2. It was very close amongst the top 10, but we're also seeing packs fall a little bit further back. Just to talk about the range of skill that we have, we're not looking for the greatest I rating in the world. We do have, of course, Jordan Johnson with a 9.3K I rating, but we have participants as low as 400 and something I rating, and you know, in the mid range is 1500. The strength of field field coming through around the mid 2000s. So anybody can participate in something like this to try to showcase their skills for their country. It's going to be an amazing event, and this year is sure to excite all race fans throughout the universe.
Absolutely. And one of the brilliant things when you mention that I rating, of course, as well, being the fact that it's not necessarily representative of all these drivers' skill levels because they come from various sims. Some drivers coming from your Assetto Corsas, some drivers coming from your Le Mans Ultimate these days. And so your skill levels aren't necessarily going to be hammered down in one platform. So just because it says 1.4K I rating, that's just the base I rating. It could be a lot more than that. We just don't really know. And as we see these times starting to roll in here, Daytona being Daytona, providing some close times, but my goodness, Roman Lee setting a benchmarker and a half right now, nearly a half second above Jordan Johnson. We see Fryman also down in third position right now. Andrew Herschel coming into fourth, Broden Gray in fifth, Kelton Quick managing a sixth position, quite quick from him. But lots of other drivers that we expect to be heavier hitters, Morgan Stringer in particular, not quite up there. There's Eric Halsband though with a third place lap. And just beginning these times, keep in mind the track going to be rubbering in every single lap, and we also see a little bit of traffic these drivers are having to deal with occasionally.
Exactly, Mike. Starting at 50% grip level, it's up to the drivers to put the rubber down, to form that racing line, to get a little bit faster, lap over lap, and perhaps even grab a dancing partner as we see the Ford Mustang here chasing down Cale Davidson going in towards turn one and getting a little bit of a toe to the line, looking good through the first sector into the Rodriguez International Horseshoe. The Mustang trails. That's Alan Carter driving the number 17. And we've got traffic in qualifying, Mike. What is your scenario here? Do you back off? Do you find a gap? What do you look for when you're qualifying and you're trying to set a hot lap? And just there, Quick goes 9,000s back from Lee. Drivers really coming to grips with this track.
Yeah, we're starting to see the times heat up, and trying to deal with the back markers is always going to be a struggle in open qualifying. You just have to find a gap, whether it's letting off and letting somebody by, or getting ahead of a slower driver and trying to stay ahead. It's not always a one checkbox answer. It really just comes down to a situational awareness and making the right decision at the right time. Now, I see that there is a couple questions in chat here. For anyone that is just joining us, will there be an oval event on this one? Not in the first half of the year, however, with the Team America calendar that we have released. So let's explain that once more. For anyone just joining us, Team America being the team that's going to be representing any nation events when it comes to sim racing. Oh my goodness, this is a bit of a traffic jam on track right now. Pay no mind to that. It'll sort itself out. But either way, the qualifying for Team Americas in the Talent Scout, this is where you're going to be able to find yourself representing your country as well as a community here of like-minded individuals. Of course, everyone being from America, representing America, and will be battling it out on stages across the nations. Here tonight is going to be, of course, like I said, the qualifiers. So we'll be seeing who will make it through that. And we're not going to be deciding necessarily who qualifies tonight. It's going to be a culmination of all the different races throughout the different season. And of course, taking the other season of Team America in mind as well from 2025. So just keeping an eye on who is good in what situations. And yes, indeed, we will be bringing ovals back into it come the next part of the calendar. But this 6-month span is going to be just for the, I think, circuit racing for the most part. And if you missed the start of this, you absolutely can sign up for any of them. They are all individual one-off races that you can take part in, and you can find that over at initesports.gg. That's INIT esports.gg.
Man, can you imagine battling it out on track, playing your favorite simulator and representing your country at the same time? That's something a teenage version of myself could only dream of, but now it's a reality for some of these drivers. We're coming to the last 2 minutes of qualifying right now, and here comes Jacob Dick in the number 33 through the Le Mans chicane and onto the high banking.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, 1.3 seconds, and now even a little bit more with Fryman gaining ground on him. Jesse Laverin as well for Camber and Castor, a very awesome community. If you are down in the San Diego area, they run a sim center, a sim community down there in San Diego. Highly recommend checking it out. We have a couple drivers taking part in the race from there tonight. I think Jesse Laverin being one, Paige Kaufman, I would imagine, being another one. I think we have a couple others as well that might be. Let us know if you are or if you're supporting the Camber and Caster team, with Lewis Holloway being the other one as well. But I think he is driving from home, though, I'm pretty sure. But yes, also one of the Camber and Caster members. Let us know, though, who you are supporting here tonight. Who do you want to see win? I know we have some Brooke Proto Savage fans as well out there. She's out on track right now, only in 27th. A little bit of work to do for her. There you can see the Aston Martin being chosen, the lone Aston Martin as well in this sea of Porsches.
Man, could you imagine being the only driver to select an Aston Martin, one of the new cars to iRacing as well? But man, picking the lonely car, no one to help you out with, but we know that Brooke has got a teammate of Luke Whitehead in her ear probably at this event tonight, giving her a little bit of advice and some suggestions on those setups. Luke was here last year helping Brooke out and doing a tremendous job keeping us entertained in the YouTube chat as well. So Luke, if you're out there, hello, and thank you for joining us again.
And congratulations as well to Luke, as he recently signed on to a new team for Tatum Recitech. So that's a massive accomplishment for them. So doing some LMU stuff, I'm pretty sure, is what that's going to be. And also some other stuff. Luke doing some awesome things out there. But here we see the qualifying getting down to the wire, though, Sauger. Jordan Johnson has been kind of down and out for a while now, but up into pole position. And he's holding strong with 1.13 ahead of Roman Lee. Cale Davidson. We saw have equal time to Jordan Johnson in the free practice session, but not this time. That is going to be qualifying done, dusted, and over with Jordan Johnson. It's going to be the one to start us off strong here tonight.
Looking good for a race start, but the key to the race at Daytona is going to be survive the turn one, lap one chaos. That's my key number one. Key number two is nail the bus stop consistently. It's all about risk over reward there. Prioritize exits over your entries. Most of the straightaways are come after the low speed corners, so really prioritize those exits. And you have to think in stints, not laps. I know we're not doing an endurance race, Mike, but you're gonna think that these drivers are probably gonna put down at least 15 laps or so for this 20-minute race.
Yeah, and it's going to be an all-out war, I would imagine. Now, Jordan Johnson, keep in mind, he is a previous winner of a Team America Talent Scout event race. He won at round 3 at Watkins Glen in the GT3s. So I would say if there is a favorite in terms statistically speaking, considering that Xander Reed is not here tonight, I would say that Jordan Johnson is going to absolutely be the favorite. Hopefully we see Xander Reed show up a few more times throughout the season. He also won our event at Indy when we had our LAN event, the Team America Time Trials. But enough yapping for now. Let's talk about the grid. Jordan Johnson, as we were just talking about, another one of the drivers that we had down in Indy, as well as Roman Lee. Starting up on row 1, Jordan Johnson in P1, Roman Lee in P2. Cale Davidson running in 3rd with Andrew Herschel in 4th. Broden Gray running in 5th. Nathan Fryman qualifying 6th with Jesse Laverne behind in 7th. Kelton Quick 8th position with Eric Hausband in 9th. And rounding out your top 10, Bronson Turner.
Max Bogman in P11, Jacob Dick in P12, Nick Henley in 13th, Norberto Alvarez Jr. in 14th, Morgan Stringer in 15th, Steven Anderson in 16th, Christian Julian in 17th, Alan Carter in 18th, Jason Jones in 19th, and Lewis Holloway from Camber and Caster into the 20th position.
Sergio Ortiz down in 21st with Winnie Workman in 22nd. Kevin Zosik in P23 with Lee Winters alongside in 24th. Gerson Herrera in P25 with Paige Kaufman in P26. Brooke Proto Savage 27th position with Aaron Brown qualifying in 28th. Alejandro Fernandez in 29th. 30th for Dylan Batty, and rounding out the back is going to be Brian Toyer. A couple names, Sauger, that I'm noticing. Aaron Brown, a name that if we had an oval race would be a talk for one of the favorites, but unfortunately for him, starting all the way down in 28th position.
We still have 40 minutes on the clock for these drivers to showcase their skills. Perhaps he's one of those drivers that doesn't showcase his abilities during qualifying, but perhaps has the race pace. We've talked about it amongst ourselves time and time again. Sometimes when you get that itch behind another driver, you somehow gain a second or two, don't you, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. am useless if I'm ahead of somebody, and I am typically on the back of them if I'm chasing. So it's a balance game. And now Aaron Brown, I know for a fact he's quicker than me when it comes to road cars, so he shouldn't have too much of a time getting used to this tracking car. I'm just assuming probably not the most amount of practice going into this one. Wait, I say that. Aaron Brown ran every single stint of Daytona in every single car. I wonder if he just didn't qualify. I didn't even notice that. I should have took a look if he actually set a time or not. But he ended up running, if I remember right, every single stint. So in the LMP or in the LMGT or GT3s, as well as GTPs and LMP2s.
Wow.
And so an absolutely crazy.
An absolute animal. Talk about the itch for racing. The only person I can think that would do something like that in real life would probably be Ben Keating, right? I feel like Ben Keating has probably done something like that in real life, where he's jumped in from an LMP2 into the GT3 for the same race.
It certainly could be possible. Now, we'll have to hold that thought here as we get down to the grid, which he currently has, according to our producer in our ear, Tom Bryant, which I have yet to shout out. My apologies, Tom. Tom Bryant, our producer for AK Esports UK here, running all the beautiful pictures that you see and all the lovely, lovely graphics that we have going on. Stream would not be possible without him. Although pace car is in now, green flag is going to be coming out, and immediately Jordan Johnson is start out of the shot like a cannon. Kelly Davidson with Roman Lee side by side down into the braking zone, and it's 2x2 Noah's Ark formation, pretty much line astern all the way down the grid. Cale Davidson getting the advantage there over Roman Lee. Looks like Andrew Herschel just gaining over Fryman. Broden losing a position as well. Kelton Quick up a position over Jesse Laverin, and plenty of battling still continuing. Fryman actually up 3 positions from his start. We hop on board now with Jesse in the mix, Sauger.
It's a pack of pretty Porsches for the top 6 right now, and looking pretty good. Jesse Laverin is going to be the first of the AMGs to lead the field. Gained nothing, lost nothing so far, up into 7th. But here's a driver who has, and it's going to be Bronson Turner tumbling down the order through the infield section. Jordan Johnson leads by 0.8 of a second. Back to Davidson in 2nd place, who's gained 1. Nathaniel Freeman is up 3 on the good for tonight in the number 27.
And now we get a second to breathe. Jordan Johnson gets his way onto the banking on the exit of turn 7, the most important corner on the track. With that 7/10 gap early on, really stellar start here and going off to an early advantage. Davidson's got a lot of work to keep up, and then also go for that pass if he wants to find himself starting on the front spot. The race total, by the way, the points is going to work where the winner of race 1 is going to have an accumulated total, and the winner of race 2 is going to also, oh my goodness, hold that thought as we have battling in the mix down through the chicane. There's contact and off goes a McLaren in the background. Winnie makes it through. That's going to be Lewis Holloway, as well as it looks like Morgan. It's Nick Henley, I think, caught up in that, or it's Kevin that also got caught up in the collision. Looks like a bit of a too much curb usage, Sauger. And as we go down the start-finish straight, we're nearly 3 abreast. Porsche having to back out, but allowing Jesse Laverin to continue side by side with Eric Halsband, who's trying to work his way through the field.
Jason Laverin's doing a great job just sitting behind the cars in front and waiting for the race to come to him. He could be over aggressive right now, as we see into the international horseshoe section. A little touch there into the rear bumper and a push to pass, if I've ever seen one, Mike. The stewards are probably going to have a look at that, but rubbing is racing, and what better place to do it than Daytona International Raceway, the world center of racing.
And Eric Halsband losing 2 positions there, but immediately making 1 position back up. He is on a mission, and now going to be probably seeing a little bit of red. Eric, quite the talented driver, by the way. We got to see his talents in Indy displayed at LAN. And quite frankly, absolutely terrifying pace. So I would not discount Eric for a podium tonight, to be honest. And it's a long ways to the top if you want to rock and roll, but I still think it's doable. Fryman on the back of Herschel. We see the gap as well from Davidson at the top has come down, and Jordan Johnson is now going to be sweating like a cow in a burger joint.
Absolutely, and there's battles up and down through the middle of the field. I'm keeping my eye on Christian Julian in the Lamborghini, battling with Noboto Alvarez in the number 99. That gap hasn't exceeded more than 1/4 of a second over the past lap or so. Those guys are glued at the hip.
just everywhere you look, pretty much glued at the hip. The timing tower saying it all. We're pump drafting down to the first corner. Cale Davidson giving quite literally Jordan Johnson a run for his money, and these two I would imagine are going to work together for the foreseeable future. I don't think Cale Davidson's going to try to throw this away in the first 5 minutes. He's going to wait for the last 5 minutes more than likely to make a move. What's happened though to Henley and Julian? Some yellow flags getting thrown up there briefly. Looks like maybe a bit of contact. We're still though, regardless of where you look in this pack, side by side is Workman trying to go through this Porsche, but having just to back off for right now. The Corvette that is going to be there, going for a deep little move. Bronson Turner, though, with his head on his swivel, covers it off.
Can't make a move, going through the dog leg side by side. A little too risky here, so single file will be the order of operations through the infield. But coming out of the West Horseshoe towards turn 6 and turn 7 is where you can compromise your opponent's line by looking towards the inside on entry to turn 6 and turn 7. Leading on to the high banking, you can compromise their entry, get a little bit of a run, and potentially make a move going down into the Le Mans chicane, turn 10 and turn 11.
You got to be so careful making a move into the Le Mans chicane, though. It's a high speed, high commitment with very high curbage, you can see. And if you end up hitting one of those a little bit too hard, the momentum, the weight transfer is not going to work in your favor, and you are going to be finding yourself heading towards that wall quicker than a quick thing in Quicksville. Andrew Herschel, thankfully, not really having to deal with that on this lap. But look at this little pack of cars that we have going on here. This is from 18th all the way up till pretty much 13th of Roman Lee, who has fallen his way down the field quite a number. 11 positions for Roman Lee, got tangled up with earlier on. Let's see, though, is this a little bit of a look from the Camber and Caster Ferrari. Sergio is looking like he's feeling some pressure right now. Is he going to go for it down to the inside, making it sick? And Ortiz is going to go on through. But with that, the Porsche of Fernandez cuts back and finds himself on a 2-for-1 special.
A beautiful move through turn 1, leading down into the Rodriguez International Horseshoe. There's a little bit of chaos, though, and a car spun around. That'll be Nick Henley in the number 38 Ferrari. Worse for wear there. But man, oh man, what a great 6-way battle we were just watching. That lasted about 2 or 3 laps. It was super close.
And that's such a shame that Nick Henley had to return to pit lane. It looks like he got a double tap on that rear right quarter panel, so I'm wondering if the car was just too bad shape to make it back to the pit lane. He ends up returning to the garage there, and hopefully in race 2 he can have a bit of a better result. Our leaders, by the way, currently Jordan Johnson and Cale Davidson, still lying astern right now, and that doesn't look to change anytime soon. They're not bump drafting anymore. There's not currently a hole being rubbed into the back of Jordan Johnson's bumper just yet. However, I wouldn't discount it. Fryman has fell off the back by a little bit, 4.5 seconds at this stage. Herschel giving him a good push as well with Gray in the background. So a 3-way fight for third right now, Sauger. And again, I think it's really anyone's game all the way down to really Eric Howell's band.
But the battle for P1 is on right now. Less than a tenth separates the leaders going in towards turn number 1. When they crossed the line, they were nearly side by side. Now they are separated by a little bit of tarmac between them, but it looks like Davidson definitely has the speed coming out of the Le Mans chicane through turn 12 and 13 down the front stretch. Now, Mike, educate me and the viewers maybe, how powerful is the slipstream coming down the back stretch here?
Well, when you think about these cars, the GT3s, you notice all these little sticky outy bits and little winglets and wing, whatever you want to call them, all those fancy schmancy aerodynamic parts. They rely on air pushing down on them to go quick through a corner. Now, what that does, I thought is Roman Lee here trying to make his way down through a Lamborghini Julian. I don't think is going to be able to hold on that long. Let's see, though, Lee trying to get the switcheroo, and that is going to be an absolute success. Not done or out of the woods just yet, but there we go. The Lamborghini dispatched with, and Roman Lee should have the inside line through turn 7 to launch himself onto the back. But this is where Sauger, that slipstream that we're just talking about, comes into play. Because they have all those aerodynamic principles that push them down in the corner, That also happens to be a downside on the straight, so it's pushing them down on the straights. However, what that also does is it clears the air out for the car behind, so there'll be less air pushing down on the car, doing all that invisible effect and making them a little bit quicker. That should allow a couple more tenths. It really shouldn't be a massive difference maker, all things considered, but if you're within 1/10 of the car in front, you are going to be seeing a sizable speed advantage.
So there is Davidson, who was about 2/10 slower in the qualifying session, but is running about the same pace as Jordan Johnson at the front of the field. He's staying within that slipstream distance, that 2/10, 3/10 of the gap. And here's a three-way scrabble as we cross the checkered stripe, and a little bit of bump draft goes a long way into the AMG. Give him the bump and run down towards turn one, but the Lamborghini's gonna try to go the long way around the outside. Can he carry the speed and the momentum? The AMG has the grip and the traction to punch it in a straight line leading down towards turn two and just escapes into the distance.
But Alejandro hanging on by a thread there, nearly getting taken out by Julian. Still a little bumping and banging, and that little bit of contact was enough to unsettle the rear engine Porsche. That is what you call just Porsche things. There we see Eric Halsman getting the exact same touch done to him on the back from a fellow AMG and not caring one stone about it. The AMG a little bit more planted than the Porsche. There we see Jesse Laverin letting the Corvette by of Bowman, interestingly. So using Bowman as potentially a bit of a crutch here, and with that advantage in the slipstream. Now, we saw that on the previous lap, just how much of a difference it can make. Up to a few miles an hour is a big difference when we're talking about a near, 10-second flat-out stretch?
We talked about it during the qualifying. Why fight when you can find a dance partner to help carry that speed down the back stretch? Like you said, it gives a little bit extra speed and momentum. If you're compromised going on to the back stretch, coming through the Le Mans chicane or coming out of the West Horseshoe, turn 6 and turn 7, then really, why put up the fight and lose time for the both of you when you can just regain that time back? I think that is a very, very smart play. That's high-level IQ thinking from the Camber and Caster team.
It is. It's long-term thinking, I would go as far as saying, but is it going to be maybe too long-term thinking for a 20-minute sprint race, though? That's the question you always have to ask. It's risk versus reward. Here we see a big risk. Roman Lee trying to get his way back through the field and going around the outside of Morgan Stringer and making it look quite easy, all things considered. Let's see if Alvarez can do the same. We'll see that in a little bit. This is Andrew Herschel up in 4th position in gray, giving him an absolute run for it right now. The bright yellow and red, we were talking about it kind of before the stream started here, Sauger. Some of these liveries these cars are bringing to the competition are absolutely stunning.
It's really great to see custom liveries be brought to the field as well. It provides so much character to the drivers that we otherwise wouldn't be able to see or recognize. The Buc-ee's livery, obviously very iconic from various series, but we're seeing some very unique styles be brought to the surface from various drivers, and you love to see the creativity be brought to the surface. It's not just about the driving, it's about bringing out a little bit of your artistic side as well, as Jesse Laverin rejoins the track, crossing the double yellow stripe. I think that might be causing him to take a yellow flag through that sector.
Yeah, and speaking of great livery creators, Jesse Laverin being the creator of that Camber and Caster livery as well. Got the WD-40 livery or logos plastered on it as well. You absolutely love to see it. The San Diego-based company representing a San Diego-based company. Absolutely awesome. Here we see a move from Andrew Herschel. It's a kind of half-hearted attempt. I think he's going to commit to the outside, but I don't see it working on this occasion unless he has a tremendous amount of momentum and an extremely long right foot. It is Gray, on the outside there, but no, there's absolutely no way Gray is going to make it by Herschel. Hangs on and lives to fight another day, and Fryman looking in his rearview mirror saying, "You boys keep at it because I want nothing to do with this."
But it's gonna be a three-way Porsche battle. But here is Dylan Batty in the number 20 going side by side with the AMG of Laverin. That'll be Jesse Laverne from that Camber and Caster team. The number 83 pulls ahead in front of the Porsche. But back over to that three-way battle that we were just watching. A wiggle through turn 1 will compromise the McLaren's run through turn 2, and maybe into the Rodriguez International Horseshoe. The AMG can find an optimal line. No, it cannot. Not enough daylight there to exist. But a compromised run out of the International Horseshoe through the dog leg. Can it be a challenge into the West Horseshoe, Mike?
I think it very well may be. I think, Lewis, they're smelling blood in the water, just as Gray is now side by side. This is going to be a long lunge down into the chicane, and it's a very risky attempt if you want to make that move stick. Very intelligent decision-making. Gray backs out and does not commit on this occasion. Now, though, he gets a great run. You can see the slipstream playing a role as well. This is going to go all the way down to the first corner. The inside line being squeezed by Herschel. He's going to have to keep committed now. If he walks any ways to the right, that position is going to be gone in an instant. Now Gray out of the slipstream, looking for the braking marker as you approach the green light, cross the line, down into the first corner. It's going to be a commitment. Is the move going to stick, though? The corner washes away, and unfortunately for Gray on this occasion, not enough speed, not enough of an attempt. It's just so difficult to make that move stick from the outside.
I was screaming in my ears for Broden Gray there to make that move stick. He was pushing as hard as he possibly could, leading down and towards turn 1, but just couldn't find enough traction on that outside line. That's not the ideal line. You want to cut the corner close and then drift out wide a little bit later. A little bit harder to do, especially when you're going side by side. But these guys are battling for P4 and P5 right now. They're going to keep battling for the remaining 5 minutes of this race. There goes Brian Troyer, the number 36 in 22nd place, a little bit off at turn 1, but back on the track and pointed in the right direction. Mike, we had a great shot earlier from the Blint cam coming through the Le Mans chicane of those new curbs that they added, the anti-cut curbs, and you could see how big they are as the drivers get over them and the cars just get airborne, turn into bicycles as Cale Davidson does, and nearly loses the car. Only a few tenths actually lost at the end of the day, but this is going to compromise the run going down into Wars 1.
I don't think there could have been a better demonstration of what you were talking about there, Sauger. That was absolutely on cue. Cale Davidson must be listening to the stream in the background there, but unfortunately, or well, fortunately for him, he does not spin there. But yes, you'd end up taking those curbs a little too aggressively. Your car bottoms out, and you will get sent into the troposphere. Yes, I know that's where we live, but you get the pun. Roman Lee, though, I want to talk about. He's back through the field, up, well, now from 11th, he's up in a 9th. Still a bit of ways to go. He's on the back of Eric Halsband from 13th, to 9th, so a massive improvement. Still down 7 positions, though, from where he started, but there is still a race, too, that he will definitely be looking forward to. Eric Halsband up 1 position, 6 positions for Jacob Dick. Dylan Batty, by the way, a name that we have not mentioned just yet, Sauger, 16 positions with Alejandro Fernandez, 14 positions right behind him.
Biggest gainers of the night, and these are the types of numbers that we're kind of looking for Team USA Talent Scout as well. Who can climb through the pack? Who can get the biggest gains? Who can stay at the front, stay in the front? It's all about your racecraft as well. All things are being measured here, and it's going to come down to a very tough decision to decide who's going to represent the United States of America. And Lee as well, Roman Lee. I couldn't remember where I had seen that name before, but once I saw the livery, it all made sense. The driver has a lot of skill. We've seen him across various series before, and for him to climb back from P14 back into P9 and then race 2, set himself up for even bigger gains for that final heat, man, that is really telling of the type of character and the skill that a driver brings to the table.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact he's just a really nice guy as well. I had the pleasure of meeting Roman at PRI and recognized him immediately from the shirt. Yes, indeed, the brand that he is representing out there, World of Racing, one that Sauger and I know quite well. If you are down in those areas, recommend checking them out. He's a Kansas City-based driver, so one of the Kansas ones. But here we go, side by side again. This is Herschel back on the outside. I don't think it's going to work again. Oh, unless there's a little bit of a wiggle there for the 51 in the mid-corner. But even with that, It's still not enough. Herschel manages to hold on, and Gray just cannot get by.
Gray is doing what Einstein said we should all never do. The same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It's unfortunately not working leading down and towards turn one. We have to try something else. Here is a Porsche going after the Ferrari. No, that is a McLaren leading down and towards turn one, and that will be the 31 trying to go the long way around the outside. And we've got a couple other cars involved in this debacle here. Cars in front, cars in back, and cars going around at turn two.
And that's a spinner. I don't think there was contact. That's going to be Gerson Herrera that ended up in the infield there. I don't think Aaron Brown made contact. The camera angle that we had there didn't quite spell the story out entirely, but an unfortunate one nonetheless. There's battling back and forth with Brooke Protasavage as well as Winnie Workman. Currently broke Protasavage up 4 positions herself, doing an incredible job. Seeing some other drivers that have big gains. Brian Toyer, 10 positions. We saw him struggling quite a bit earlier on as well. Just goes to show you consistency makes the difference, and keep plugging away and you'll find yourself to gaining those positions. This is Alvarez Jr. on the back of Morgan Stringer. Morgan, who in my opinion we've seen in a lot of strife, but however he's up 4 positions and doing a great job here as we get to the final lap.
White flag is waving from Barney the flag man. Once the drivers cross the line, they'll get one last opportunity to shake and bake, to show us what they're made out of. Can Davidson do anything with Jordan Johnson in front by 0.3 of a second, Mike? This has been a battle that's lasted all race long.
Now, I'm not sure is going to be the short answer. I think Davidson might just take his P2 here and run with it. And honestly, it's not a bad choice. There's still another race after this. You start where you finish in this one. Is it worth going for a dive bomb and potentially throwing away a couple positions from both you and Jordan Johnson, as well as picking up a penalty? I don't think it matters that much. I don't think Cale Davidson is even close enough to really ask that question. Either way, let's go into the chicane and see. It should be down to the braking zone here, but Jordan Johnson with nearly a 3.5 lead over Cale Davidson. I think the writing is on the wall, barring a massive mistake here and an overcommitment from Jordan. I think he is out of the woods through the final chicane and onto the banking this time. Jordan Johnson is looking good. However, the slipstream is now going to kick in. Cale Davidson gaining. Is he close enough? No, not on this occasion, it looks like. Still going to come down to the wire, but Jordan Johnson, folks, is going to be your winner of race 1 for the Team America Talent Scout here at Daytona. Still more races around the corner, though. Cale Davidson taking home P2. P3 still undecided right now, as we have a big gaggle of cars heading across the line. It's going to be Nathaniel Fryman that takes home 3rd, Andrew Herschel in 4th, and Broden Gray in 5th.
Amazing 3-way finish there, separated by a 10.5 for P1 and P2, separated by 85 thousandths for P3 and P4, separated by another 10.5 for P5. This is the best racing you could ask for. Thank you so much, Mike, for the entertainment. And rounding out the top 10 will be Dick, Quick, Houseband, Lee, and Bogman.
The rest of the field will be following in suit. We'll get the official results here in a matter of time. But my goodness, Sagar, race 1. Let's break this down here really quickly. And to be honest, I don't even know where to start. The battles through and throughout the entirety of this race. I mean, we can start off, I guess, with Jordan Johnson and Cale Davidson running the entirety of this race, pretty much line astern, gaining a 10-second lead by the end. That's a half second per lap over Fryman that they were gaining, and still managing to finish just about bumper to bumper. It was the story for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th position, bumper to bumper all the way throughout, swapping positions left and right. Gray just could not get the move done on Herschel. No matter what they managed to try, it couldn't quite work. Roman Lee, I guess the big drama as well, dropped down into 13th, managed to climb his way back to 9th. Eric Halsman finishing in 8th. Sagar, what are some of your highlights from this one?
I really think it all came down to the race start. Jordan Johnson controlled the field from the green flag, kind of left the other drivers sleeping at the wheel. We saw Cale Davidson able to gain 1 position and Nathaniel Freeman able to gain 3 on the good. The question is, where did Roman Lee go on the start? Well, he fell back at turn 1. So it just goes to show you, I think some of the drivers are well equipped for the race, and I think other drivers have a little bit to learn going forward, but this is a very long year, and we're going to be doing this every single month. So if things don't work out for race 1, there's always race 2 or heat number 2. If it doesn't work out for this event, there's always another one. And there's always the Init Esports for fun events too, right, Mike?
Yes, indeed. That's a great shout, Sauger. Yes, if you are, in fact, newer to iRacing, if you're a veteran to iRacing, or if you just enjoy iRacing in general, we every single week here at Init Esports host some just for fun races. It is our midweek madness, midweek double dash, as we like to call it. And that's just all free content every single week. So we get out on track, we hang out in the Discord with each other, and we just do some casual fun races. There's no points, there's no anything, there's no pressure. It's just going out there and having a good time. And if that's something that interests you, you can type !Discord over on the Twitch side of things, or you can scroll down in the description and find a link to our Discord there. Or you can just head over to our website, initesports.gg, and you can find all of our links respectively over on our website. Though, let's get back here to the topic at hand, Daytona. We have another race coming up here, and if anything, like you said, Sauger, with the importance of the start of the race here, if you're Roman Lee, if you're Eric Halsband, or if you're even Lee Winters or Aaron Brown, who had quite good results, all things considered, you still need to be on the top of the ball here and get an incredible start yourself. So we'll see how that plays a role. Jordan Johnson, though, I think is going to be feeling comfortable as ever, but with that real kind of head scratcher of what is Cale Davidson going to do?
It really will all come down towards turn 1, Mike. Lap 1, turn 1. It was one of my keys to the race, and it's going to have to be the make or break point for some of these drivers, because you're launching the car onto the front stretch through the tri-oval. You're quickly building up speed before diving in towards turn 1. The entry is blind, and the downhill off the banking leaves you a little bit off camber, so drivers can get caught off guard, especially if they haven't practiced a race start before. So it's a little bit more caution than not to be expressed through going through turn 1, but you can also win a lot of positions going deep in towards 1 as well. It's risk versus reward. We've talked about it so many times, and the drivers have shown us already that they can go wheel to wheel through turn 1 into 2 all the way down to the international horseshoe.
Well, 100%. It's a very difficult challenge if you are the driver on the outside, but it's certainly doable, and especially on lap 1, you just have to be paying attention to when Jordan gets that start. That was kind of the difference maker, I think, really, for Cale Davidson. If he was more on it for the start, I think it would have been a completely different conversation in the race, but we'll find out here soon enough as we get ready to go in. The driver's just currently in an intermission right now, taking a quick little breather and a cool down, get a drink of water before they get back out on the track and a little more intense side-by-side racing. Now, Sauger, you mentioned, talking about side-by-side racing, that they managed to show how well they could do it throughout here. Some of the passing zones that you would expect now, of course, Daytona being a sort of tough to pass track, but not necessarily. It's a very momentum-based and pace-based track. We saw a lot of the moves happening in, of course, turn 7, but throughout that, we also saw quite a few happening even in the West Horseshoe and through the International Horseshoe.
Very good point, Mike. The inside field of the racetrack provides for some great racing as well and can provide some great wheel-to-wheel action. Usually it results in one driver making a slight mistake going into that sector. It is a momentum-based track, so once you're compromised at one corner, you're pretty much compromised throughout the entire sector. Daytona is very, very unforgiving. It is the American Monza, let's say, where you're going flat out for 80% of the track rather than the international horseshoe section. The dog leg is going to be flat out if you've got the right aero package, and then you're braking for the West Horseshoe, obviously.
I don't think I've ever heard this described as the American Monza, but I like it. I think that's actually a really kind of good way of looking at it. Obviously with less chicanes than Monza would be traditionally,
yes.
But still a very good shout. We will be here getting back into it shortly, and also have a word from our sponsors as well. So before we get into that, I want to have a moment to thank all of the people that make these streams possible. Of course, AK Esports UK providing the pictures, with Tom Bryant on production, and all of our lovely, lovely folks alongside. Of course, over at eClutch, we're live on eClutch over on the platform in the Minnow region. And of course, our partners now, and new partners over at Regadget, as well as our new streaming services over on Roku. But more from that here again very, very briefly. Esports Edge, if you do want to find us on Roku, by the way, search up Esports Edge. That is where you can find us. That is where you will be on TV yourself as well, for the fine folks that are viewing at home and the VOD watchers. And if you are watching on YouTube or Twitch, do hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button on Twitch, as it is, or on YouTube, excuse me, as it is free. And we appreciate every single one of you. Getting into, though, very shortly, the breakdown again from the Daytona sessions here, talking from the 24 hours. I know again a few of those drivers that we saw participate in the 24 hours, pretty much all of them had good races. I mentioned Aaron Brown being one of them, the driver that took part in pretty much every single version of the 24, be it LMP2, be it GT3, or be it I almost said LMDH again, the hypercars. He managed to go out there and take part in all of them, so gaining a good amount of positions. Not the best qualifying, but managing to make a solid result nonetheless. Now, Sauger, before we get into this here, I would like to take a mention as well, of course, with our new sponsor that we have on board. It is Regadget. And of course, Regadget is not just your typical computer company. They take retired computers, or they take retired equipment that isn't just a pile in your corner. It's a heavy, time-consuming task that pulls away from your higher value work. That's where Regadget comes in as your IT/AD partner. Will handle the full takeout process and removal, package transport, secure data wiping, so you don't have to do anything or run out any of the cleaning efforts. The best part is they'll pick up the cases for free, and they will also free of charge by recovering the value of the hardware. So it's a win-win no matter what. So if you have a PC that you do not want anymore, head over to Regadget. They would love to take it. And on top of that, they transform those PCs into new PCs that they then go and give out to lesser families. So also schools they partner with, giving people computers that necessarily wouldn't have computers. It's a great cause. Go check out Regadget. Everybody, links down in the description. Though, Sauger, as we get ready here, we're getting down to the moment. The warm-up is kind of coming to a close, and we're going to get into it very quickly. Once we get into the gridding, we're going to get to the go. And do we have any predictions for this race here?
I'm going to keep my predictions close to my chest, Mike. I don't want to give anybody the commentator's curse, unfortunately. So I'm going to keep everything tight. But I think we're in for a great heat number 2 for the eating. This feature race is going to be more action-packed than ever. We've got over 30 drivers on the grid tonight, and they're going to be battling it out to represent the United States of America. I don't think anybody wants to leave any stone unturned right now. They want to start off with a bang. I know we're not keeping track of the points, but they want to represent their country, and they want to do it with pride.
Absolutely. And also on top of that, I should mention as well, if we can just pull up our calendar real quick here for the next season that we have. Of course, we have our Team America Talent Scout event that you're watching right now. Round 2 is going to be on March 1st next month at the Red Bull Ring and the GT4s. However, we also have our Screen to Speed series, our all-women's series. And if that's something that interests you, we highly, highly encourage you to take part. We have some lovely ladies out on the grid here tonight taking part, both Paige Kaufman and Brooke Proto-Savage, so you'll be able to see them out on track. Both dedicated screen-to-speed drivers, and also a few others. We highly recommend check it out. Spread the word to your friends and get them involved as well. And you'll be able to see it. We also, of course, here for Team America have a women's category representing on top of it. So if that's something, again, that interests you, please do get involved. Sign-ups over at initesports.gg. That's INIT esports.gg. Now, Sauger, with that being said, we head back to the task at hand. The topic of Daytona, the lovely 3.5 mile or 5.7 kilometer track founded all the way back in 1959. This is a circuit that has a little bit of history through and through. Obviously, it was the first ever race was won by Ken Miles in the Ford GT40. And of course, over the Ferrari, you could maybe make a movie out of that. You know what else you can make a movie out of? Potentially the start of the Team America Talent Scout event Race 2 here at Daytona. The pace car lights are out. We'll be diving into pit lane very shortly, and Jordan Johnson will become the de facto safety car and leading the field with Cale Davidson in second. Immediately there, no time wasted. Jordan Johnson again shot out of the start like a cannon, leaving Cale Davidson to battle with Nathan Fryman. He should have the advantage though with the inside line, gets a good run as well. It's all calm at the front here, everything looking very tidy for the top 5. Now in the background, not quite the same story. Cars still barreling down into turn 1. Roman Lee up a position. 2 positions lost for Andrew Herschel. Jacob Dick up a position as well. Morgan Stringer gaining side by side right now for Max Bowman into the dogleg. And oh, cars off the track. No too big of dramas. Oh, there's a chicane and a hairpin. And that's never where you want to find it, thankfully. No dramas. Everybody makes it through. And Alejandro Fernandez, unfortunately, finds himself losing a handful of positions immediately. But all things considered, Sauger, not a terrible start.
What a great race start, especially for Broden Gray. He's only up 1 position right now, but he was battling Andrew Herschel for the last 20 minutes of that first heat. And now he's finally free and clear and can battle it out with Freeman looking forward. And there was a big wreck coming onto the high banking out of turn 7, and there was a gaggle of cars. And that is a red flag situation if I have ever seen one. But in the virtual world, we'll throw out the local yellow and call it a day. And 4 wide we go through the back stretch into the Le Mans chicane, Mike.
And I mentioned Jacob Dick being one of the big gainers. Eric Halsband also getting caught up in that as well. So a massive drama. Unfortunately, we didn't quite catch that. We'll have to have a review after, but also with the stewards, they're going to be taking a look now. Some big gainers now. Brooke Pro Savage, 8 positions, Kevin, 4 positions, 9 positions as well now for Brooke. Some drivers gaining massively, some certainly losing out. Meatball flags for Herrera and plenty of other drivers, but with the drama now out of the way, we managed to continue on. Max Bowman side by side into the first corner. To be, it looks like the Corvette should have the advantage here, and they do. The AMG out wide. In fact, is that going to allow potentially the charging bull in? No, not at this instance. Max Bowman gets off here with a little bit of a lucky star.
Christian Julian did have a great run looking down in towards turn 1 and even punched out of turn 2 very well on Norberto Alvarez Jr. in that number 99, who's gained 5 positions tonight. A couple of drivers coming down pit road to use that quick repair that we talked about during our pre-race talk, Mike, and back out onto the racetrack they go. And this is what you love to see in sim racing. Incident takes place, go use your fast repair, but get back on track and show us what you're made out of. I love to see it, Mike.
Exactly, and that is precisely what we're looking for at the Team America Talent Scout event. Again, it's not about necessarily winning the race, it's how do you come back from these real nuances? How do you come back from getting taken out early? And what can you manage with the result? What do you manage with your pace? And how do you manage it with a calm, cool, and collected head on your shoulders? We're looking at Lewis Holloway right now under a world of pressure as he has 2 cars firmly pressuring behind. Covers the inside for the chicane. The inside turns to the out, but it's such a dangerous move if you were the Ford Mustang to make any form of attempt. Carter stays out, but Aaron Brown gets a slingshot to the outer banking now, and this is what he does best. If there's anybody that can get a pass on the banking, it's going to be this man right here. Aaron Brown flat out in the Porsche. Can he make it stick? It's a long way to the top. I don't think it's going to happen this time, unfortunately.
28 feet up into the air on the high banking at nearly 20 degrees sideways, leading down in towards corner number 1. It'll be a run down towards corner number 1. Can he carry the speed on the number 17? The 31 falls back, gets on the loud pedal, falls back because he sees the side-by-side ensuing ahead. And nowhere to go at the International Horseshoe, but in he goes anyways. And a little bit of paint rub between the 31 and the 70. But now Holloway is going to escape in that number 91, leaving Brown and Carter to continue to battle it out.
A pass under yellows, you know, hey, it happens. Not sure. We'll have to take a look at that one. That'll have to be reviewed. But car spun on the infield there. Aaron Brown did make it by with a full send overtake of a lifetime. My goodness, that was a high commitment move for certain. While all of this has been happening, by the way, this is our leader, Jordan Johnson, who is ferried away with a 1.5 second lead. What has happened to Cale Davidson in this race, as he was all over the back of him early on, but the ART driver of Jordan Johnson here, he has pulled away quite handedly. Now, seeing the field still quite congested, Brown and Holloway, it looks like, going to be having a bit of a duel down for P10. This is Aaron Brown with a man on a mission. How much ground can he gain here? Let's see, though, as we work up with Winnie Workman. And position moves. It looks like Morgan Stringer had a bit of an incident, losing 3 positions. Oh, and a big spin for Kevin as he clips the curb and goes well into deep. His best Sum 41 impression, and he ends up face first into the barrier.
And those were the anti-cut curbs at work in high force. Absolutely obliterated that GT3 coming through the Le Mans chicane. Now we're looking at Bogman battling it out with Alvarez further back, half a second down, coming through sector 1 to the international horseshoe section. It'll be single file line again. Not a lot of attacking opportunities going into the dogleg. It's very risky there. Perhaps in multi-class racing you'll see some overtaking opportunities present themselves, but in same class racing, not so much. Side by side, down into one, the GT3 Mustang on the outside line. The Camber and Caster, number 18, trying to hold on to the inside line defensively. Carries a lot of speed, but we're going to stay side by side through turn 2, down to the Rodriguez horseshoe. The Mustang has a nose ahead, but the Porsche clatters with another brother from Germany coming through the Rodriguez horseshoe, and the Mustang escapes up the road.
Very, very dangerous, but a great move from the Mustang, and using the exiting pit lane traffic almost to their advantage as well. So a bit of a strategic play. This, by the way, this is Eric Halsband, who had such a good race in the previous session. This time, unfortunately, got caught up at that incident in turn 7 on lap 1. He just got by Winters and now is going to be looking to make a move in a little bit on Herrera. More moves happening, though, as that's a deep look from Bowman and maybe a smack to the wall on top of it, as unfortunately I think he has a bit of damage. You can see the overspeed here from the Camber and Caster Porsche. I think it is, or it's the SR Porsche. That is Bowman, or Turner, that gets on by that song. You talk about multi-class racing, that almost looked like multi-class racing, and here goes another attempt. This is going to be Bull on Mustang. Who's going to take the lead? It looks like the overspeed from the V10 is going to be enough, and nearly takes the nose of the Mustang out. He lives to tell another day, though.
Was nearly clear. Definitely keeping an eye on that radar HUD to make sure that he was clear of that big beastly Ford Mustang in the background, but the Ford Mustang isn't done with his battle. Goes to the inside on the AMG. Alvarez and Carter wheel to wheel through the Rodriguez horseshoe, and now there's another AMG in tow. That'll be Jesse Laverin in tow. So we've got a 4-way squabble for the top 10 right now, Mike.
Oh my goodness. The amount of pressure these drivers are going to be feeling is absolutely immense, and on cue, a mistake from Alvarez Jr. allowing Jesse Laverin on through with ease, like taking candy from a baby. If you're in the shoes right now of Julian, you're going to be feeling like the mythical Titan Atlas, who once held the weight of the world on his shoulders. Can he keep it up there? That's the question. We see some other drivers now with a lot of pressure as well. This is Gray and Fryman. We saw in the previous race the struggles that Gray had to make overtakes. Can he correct it on this one? Can he use the overspeed, and can he find that inside line?
Gray was really impressing me throughout heat number 1. Why? I'll tell you. Because he was patient in that zone behind the opponent of Holloway. He really could have gone for an attack at any moment, but he was patient. He tried to make it work at turn number 1 over and over and over again. It just didn't work. What did he do? He just sat back and let the race come to him. Heat number 2, he launched out of the gun going into towards turn number 1, and he gained a position, and now he gets to battle for a podium position for the round 1 of the Team Talon Scout USA. So I think he's in a good position to battle coming to the last couple minutes of this stage, but I don't think he's going to go for a move just yet, Mike.
No, I think it'd be a little bit desperate, but the problem is you're stuck in a bit of a pack right now, and how do you make any moves even if you do make a move? Now, look at those gainers. We haven't talked about that. Oh, no. Sorry, Nick. Oh, I feel really bad about that. Oh, that's Brooke. Oh, no. That's on cue. One of our biggest gainers that we've had, currently up 13 positions, was up 16 positions. Literally, as I mentioned, it had a bit of an incident. Now up 10, still with a big gain. Still can't shake a stick at it, but unfortunately, what could have been for Brooke, it was such a good run there, and still continues to be. Paige Kaufman gets on by as well. Gray, the talk of the town, and the driver that we would love to see make a move here. He's up one position already. By the way, speaking of drivers that are up positions, Roman Lee, look at that. He qualified extremely well in quali before race 1. Had the spill in race 1, but there you can see the consistency to work his way back up the field, up into 5th now, and potentially he might even find himself on the back of this battle that we see on screen. And as I'm hearing a whisper from my ear from our producer Tom Bryan, Aaron Brown is up 13 positions in 8th.
Holy Toledo, that is massive gains on the evening to show you what you're made out of here at the Talent Scout USA. And speaking what you're made out of, there goes the Bucky's number 13 to the inside line, and it's switchback engaged from the next quick machine, but can he make it stick? 2 wheels off into the grass, out of turn 2, and now through turn 3, the 13 still holds on and manages to clinch onto the podium position for just a moment, but 4/10 separates Fryman from Gray. The battle's not done just yet, Mike.
No, it's not done just yet, but a sigh of relief that can be heard around the world. He put so much effort on to try to get by Herschel in the previous race and could not find that inside line no matter what he did. Finally, with enough effort, anything is possible, and he manages to get the move done. Wasn't for a lack of effort, though, and still not going to be for a lack of effort. Up 2 positions, though, for Gray, and now pulled a half-second gap over Fryman, so looking like he might be out of the woods, but it's still hard to tell. This battle between Alvarez Jr., Carter, as well as Julian, firmly on right now, and this is where it's going to get good in the slipstream. How much are we going to gain?
Jesse Laverin in P13 still has a chance at the top 10 as well. Don't count him out. He's looking very good in that AMG number 83. He's only 3/10 back from Carter, who we're on board with right now, coming down into the La Manche chicane for the 12th minute of running so far. We've still got 8 left to go on the clock, and the battles are still brewing everywhere we look on the racing surface. Alternate lines taken from alternate manufacturers coming through the La Manche chicane. Who's going to have the better run? Fastest lap of the race comes out with a 1:43.6 from Jordan Johnson at the front of the field. The tip of the spear, the sharp of the knife, handed over to Jordan Johnson and Cale Davidson right now, who have gained nothing and lost nothing up at the front.
And looking at Gray and Fryman, they're currently in the mix with each other right now as well, I think, or just briefly they were, and having a slight little drama. This is Carter, though, around the outside. Oh, it's a big kerfuffle, and somebody's got to give. It's the AMG on the inside. That's Alvarez. No, that's Jesse Laverin that fell down the order. They're losing 2 positions for seemingly free. The Mustang biting to the outside of the Lamborghini. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but it's certainly going to be an attempt. Not going to happen, though, on this occasion. Does hand that back over, and leading the field there, we have a Camber and Caster AMG in the front and a Camber and Caster AMG coming up in the back of this pack.
Great battling. This reminds me of some MX-5 drafting wars going down in towards corner number 1. You can see the drivers playing mind games with each other, trying to take alternate lines coming out of the La Manche chicane. And now we have 2 AMGs trying to go round the outside, coming through turn 6 and turn 7, leading onto the high banking. Who's going to have the better run, Mike? Which driver is going to come out on top?
What just happened to Gray? Gray is down in 5th position now all of a sudden, as seemingly out of nowhere. That is absolutely massive. And Roman Lee is up in a 3rd position ahead of Fryman. What the heck just happened? Lee onto the podium, up 6 positions. Fryman up into 4th. This is massive for the standings here at the end of this race. Fryman finished in 3rd in the previous session. Now he's ahead of his only competitor, I think, that could overtake him in Gray. Herschel is nowhere to be found, down in 16th.
149 and 154 coming out of Fryman and Gray that last time around. Obviously, they came together somewhere on track, both of them losing out a significant amount of positions, but promoting a few others into some points-paying positions. There goes a big wiggle from the AMG camber and caster machine on the inside line, forcing a loose car coming through turn number 2. The Lamborghini finds a way through, carries the speed down to the International Horseshoe. Who's going to be there? It will be that Lamborghini with the long legs to punch it out of the hairpin corner and claim the top 10 spot.
Nicely done from Christian Julian, and there you can see Lewis Holloway trying to do an almost a little bit of a repeat onto Alan Carter. Not on this occasion, though. Alan's going to hold strong, try to pass. And we talk about, again, the multi-class. Oh, goodness, there. A little bit of a wiggle from the Bull. That's going to allow the Mustang to the outside. Now it's all about turn 7. This is the most important corner on the track. Who can get the better slingshot? It looks like the Lamborghini, despite the compromised entry, managed to get a solid line through and still is going to pull away from the Ford Mustang. That's a car that's extremely rapid in a straight line. Now, though, the slipstream going to start to kick in, and this is where Alan Carter's going to gain back, but it's not going to be enough, Sauger, before the chicane. However, look at that in the background. That's almost having to be an offensive-defensive move to hang on.
Lewis Holloway was looking like he wanted to pounce on the American Ford Mustang in front of him, but couldn't find the daylight there. A little bit compromised coming out of the Le Mans chicane for Lavera now, and Holloway is closing down at a rate faster than not. You can see the deltas on the left-hand side of your screen. Orange obviously means that they're close. Red means, hey, we're in the danger zone, and yellow means you're under attack, sir.
The white being you're almost out of worry, but that's when you start to get a little complacent. You never want to get too complacent while driving. You always race like there's someone behind you. My goodness, big wiggles from both the cars ahead here. Jesse Lavera, and he must be feeling kind of optimistic. Honestly, if you're in his position here, it's a hurry up and wait situation. Now, there's still 3.5 minutes left. Plenty of time to make a move, but time is not going to be of the essence. You want to get it done sooner rather than later, but you can't force an issue if it's not there. And here at Daytona, you have to be very decisive. Let's see if we see a decisive move, though, from Fryman. This could be big. Again, his current competitor in the points, I think, is going to be Gray. That's just my commentator napkin math, by the way, so I don't take that with a grain of salt. I think, though, if Fryman overtakes, it won't make a difference for Lee. Potentially, again, still the commentator napkin math, not all what it's cut out to be, but Lee going extremely defensive into the chicane. You have to be careful and avoid those no-cut curbs, or else you will go flying like we've seen before. Fryman, though, not going to be able to gain up just yet. He has to sit on the back of Lee and keep on keeping on. 3 minutes left, Sauger. We're getting down to the wire.
Christian Julian still leads this pack in front of Alan Carter. And then Jesse Lavera and Lewis Holloway in tow, driving those two AMGs. But it looks like Holloway has fallen back around 0.8 of a second from this pack. And with just 2 laps left to go, I doubt he'll be able to catch back up on this lap, maybe on the penultimate lap for sure.
Maybe indeed, but it's going to take a lot of pushing, and it's one thing to catch, and it's certainly another thing to overtake. We all know that saying all too well. Lavera, though, looking like he wants to get some overtaking done in this occasion. Down into the first corner, he sends it to the inside of Carter. Gonna have to stay committed, though. We're not done yet, and he backs out of it as we get to the next right-hander, but a misjudgment of the brakes and a bit of a punt to the rear. Alan Carter, thankfully driving a Ford Mustang GT3, which is about as planted as a brick house, and doesn't really care if it gets punched in the face.
That was tremendous. Alan Carter able to hold on somehow, some way, with a very fast car plummeting into his rear end. Kept the car calm, cool, and collected. Didn't even hit Christian Julian, who was slowing in front of him. And those are the type of skills that we'll definitely want to highlight for the talent scouts. Can you keep your car under control when things are going wrong? A lot of people practice under great conditions. Can you do the right thing when everything is crumbling around you? Here comes Carter on Christian Julian up ahead. Just a 10th separates the duo up ahead. The battle for P9 and P10 going down into the Le Mans chicane. The Ford Mustang goes over to the high side. Returning to the racing line is the Lamborghini, but leads us into Le Mans chicane with just 60 seconds left to go on the clock, or nearly. The Ford Mustang gets a good exit on this run. Jesse Laverin in tow, though, also has a similar run. It's going to remain this order for now. It's between Lee and Fryman up for the podium right now, separated by 2/10 up on the leaderboard, but we're going to stay on with this battle leading down and towards turn one. Can anybody shake and bake? Can anybody make a move? I don't think anybody's close enough at this time, Mike.
No, but the white flag is out. So if there's ever a time, it's now. And a little bit of a dummy being sold. And oh, it's forced the overreaction of Julian. A spinner in the front. That's going to be a free position gain. Jesse Laverin, it looked like he was going in too deep. He put the scare on for Carter. He put the scare on for Julian. And he manages to get 2 positions for free on the final lap. Absolutely incredibly done. What a move from Jesse.
Jesse Laverin was in 13th place 2 laps ago, found his way at the back of the pack, but patience was his virtue as he patiently waited for the opportunities to present themselves and find himself into the top 9. Another highlight of this race for sure.
Absolutely, and this, folks, this is going to be it. Jordan Johnson coming around the banking for the final time here tonight at Daytona. A 4.5-second lead over Cale Davidson, and in this race, not so much of a drama as the previous. Jordan Johnson, he is going to be your indecisive winner and absolutely dominant for your Team America Talent Scout event Race 1 at Daytona in the GT3s, behind Cale Davidson securing P2 undoubtedly, and 3rd position in this race secured by Roman Lee, a 6th position gain. And despite being in 13th in the previous race, not having the greatest result, he manages to come through and finish on the bottom step of the podium. An absolutely worthwhile effort.
Tremendous drive from Roman Lee. Hats off to him with 6 positions gained, with Fryman battling it out to the very end, 3/10 down at the end of the day. Bronson Turner in P5, Max Bogman in P6, Aaron Brown in 7th, Broden Gray fell down to P8 at the end of the day, but still had a great race. Jesse Laverin in P9, Alan Carter in 10th will round out your top 10.
What a race. What an event 1 for the Team America Talent Scout event. Absolutely incredible. And again, a massive thank you to not just the drivers, especially the drivers, but of course everybody that is watching, regardless of what platform you're watching on, be it on Twitch, be it on YouTube, be it on our newest partner, Esports Edge, as well as of course over on eClutch. We thank all of our partners, as well as of course Regadget, for getting a part of this championship. And what a start to the Innit Esports Team America Talent Scout event Season 2. That's so interesting to say. 2026, folks. We head over to this, and what a year and what a start. Event 2 will be on February 1st. It's going to be the GT4s as well, so do keep an eye out for that. It's going to be at Red Bull Ring, but we'll be showing off that more in the future here. Let's get some results, and let's talk a little bit more about what we have seen here tonight and the dramas from race 1 all the way down to race 2. Jordan Johnson, he finished first in both races without too much of an issue. Well, race 1, maybe a little bit more of an issue. He was kind of separated by less than the blink of an eye from Cale Davidson, but managed to pull away a bit more in race 2. But Sagar, a bit more dramas as well that we saw, with some contact on lap 1 that led to some big names being taken out.
For sure, there was some lap 1 drama, as to be expected, especially at Daytona, as we talked about during our warm-up period between the sessions. But the most exciting thing was the rise and fall of some of these drivers from Heat 1 to Heat 2. I think the monkey in the room, or the elephant in the room, that we have to talk about is Roman Lee, a driver that qualified in the top 5 for Heat number 1, fell down to P14, worked his way into the top 10 for Heat number 1, and in the Heat number 2, found himself on a podium. Now that is real skill, and we've seen Jesse Laverin climb his way, we've seen Broden Gray climb his way, Max Bowman, Bronson Turner, Aaron Brown with 14 positions gained. So many great things have come out of this event, and I cannot wait for the remainder of this season. 2025 was one of the highlights to go watch the cars go around at Bristol, and that was a great event. 2026 is it with road car racing, Mike, as my favorite sports car racing, is only going to provide even more entertainment. And I hope you're here for it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell for when we go live next with In It Esports.
Also add it to your calendar and tune in on Esports Edge, or of course, if you're in the MENA region, you can also find us over on eClutch. Now, we have our official, unofficial results, as of course everything is pending with the penalties that need to be reviewed within the next 24 hours. However, we have officially our top three. It is Jordan Johnson, shocker, that took the victory overall, winning both races, so statistically pretty easy one. Cale Davidson taking home P2 in both races, making our math very easy, and Nathan Fryman taking home P3. It was so close. Gray gave it his all, but unfortunately at the very end had that little bit of an incident that dropped the 2 positions and allowed Fryman to go and take the P3. We are going to be getting some interviews here very shortly, so do stay tuned as we work our way and get them into the calls here, and we get all of those lovely fine folks into a room. But Sauger here again, take a little bit of a breather. We get a moment to breathe as we pretty much, I don't think, stop talking for the entirety of those 2 20-minute sessions. Incredible racing.
This is my favorite thing to do, Mike. I love road racing. I love sports car racing. And this race, both of these heats provided us with so much entertainment. I'm grinning from ear to ear. I cannot believe this is what we get to do on our Sunday evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in the world watching this either live or in the future. But here in the United States, it's Sunday evening, and we've got another event coming up for you, and it's going to be at the Red Bull Ring driving the GT4s, and that is going to be a very exciting time because the Red Bull Ring is really just a glorified oval, and in GT4s, it's all about momentum. Going up the hill into Remus, 14% grade incline, the drivers are really going to have to master those braking zones.
Yes, it's going to be an electric one, and the GT4s being a very, very racy type of car. You can make moves, Red Bull Ring being one of the greater tracks for them as well. And on top of that, we don't just have that race coming up. If we can take a look at our calendar as well, we of course have our all-women series in Screen to Speed that we have. And coming up on February 15th, we have our first event. It is going to be at Oulton Park for the Formula Vs, again, being February 15th, and that is our all-women series. If you are interested in that, spread the word, tell your friends, get them involved. We would love to have them on the grid here, as of course there are plenty now of women's series being hosted in the various racing leagues. This one is on iRacing. It's all free content, and if you do need it, of course, do just have them reach out. We have some very good options available for any of the women that would like to join that series. So with that being said, you can sign up at initesports.gg/carsim. That's INIT esports.gg/carsim. Now, though, it looks like we start to wrangle up some of these drivers, and we're going to be hearing from them very, very shortly. So as we get ready to go through, we'll talk a little bit more about the calendar here real quick. Again, Red Bull Ring being up next in the GT4s. We got Spa in the F4s. So we have a little bit of formula racing coming up. My personal favorite out of this entire calendar is going to be Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. That's, of course, going to be Interlagos in the LMP2s. I love that track. I love the LMP2s. I think that combo is going to be absolutely electric. And if there's one race that you can make it to, May 3rd, that's the one that you should, I think, personally. Road America in the GT3 is a classic. We were running that one back, of course, as that was such a successful event that we had last season, and we want to do it again. And then last but not least, Oulton Park in the Toyota GR86s in July. This is our half-year calendar. Keep in mind, folks, we still have 6 more months after that will be announced a little bit later. We'll have some ovals. We'll have some various different forms of racing on that as well. This is just our 6-month calendar, so just to clarify that one for now. And I also wanted to show as well, I have the lovely Screen to Speed water bottle, so if you're looking to get involved with the Screen to Speed series, there's my Screen to Speed water bottle to go with it. But we are getting
Mike,
here.
Can't forget to shout out those For Fun events as well. Those are so much fun twice a week. They are so much fun, all free content. I don't race very often, but when I do, it's probably with the In It crew, and I hop in just to shoot the breeze, have a good laugh, and watch some guys have fun. Guys and gals have a lot of fun on track. It's so much fun. Get yourself installed into your sim rig and find us for our fun events every week.
Yeah, it's our midweek double dash. That's every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Pacific, or I guess the easier way to look at it is 8 o'clock Eastern and 8 o'clock UK. So, or 8 o'clock UK and 8 o'clock Eastern. We have 2 different events both of them run the same format. It's a bit lengthy of an explanation, but I think that hopefully makes some sense. And with that being said, it sounds like I'm getting in my ear. No, not quite just yet. I thought I was,
it's great because there is a session for those of you based in the UK, and there is a session for us based in the United States as well. So it appeals to both crowds, and we're trying to grow this community of drivers that really want to spend time with each other and build up their sim racing career from the ground up. Whether you're a beginner or you're a seasoned veteran, we have tons of options here within it. So like I said, get yourself installed to your sim rig and find us at esports.gg.
Yes, indeed. Now, with that being said, we have our winner of the Event 1 Team America Talent Scout Event GT3s at Daytona. And a familiar name and a familiar face. It is, in fact, Mr. Jordan Johnson. Jordan, first off, how are you doing on this lovely evening? It's great to talk to you again.
Yeah, doing pretty good. Can't complain. Nice, calm event for me. Just kind of keep my head clean.
Now let's talk about race 1. I mean, obviously race 1 being the more exciting one. You had both of the races had just an incredible start. Immediately on the green flag, pretty much pulled a half-second gap at both occasions. However, I don't know what happened between race 1 and race 2, but you got sort of caught up by the end. Cale Davidson giving you a run for your money, and I almost thought he was going to catch you on the last lap.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's really just Daytona, to be honest. You have a car inside of 0.8 of a second. It's pretty much impossible to break away from them unless they make two mistakes. Cale made occasional mistakes here and there, but never did he make a second one or anything big enough for me to pull a gap away from him. And you just gain 4 or 5 tenths a lap on the draft here. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, and I had an opportunity in second lap coming into the first hairpin. I just made a mistake, and I closed the gap from 7 tenths, and it dropped to like 0.3. And at that point, it was just kind of run away. I knew I had very, very little downforce compared to him, so I was pretty safe in the straights. I just needed to make sure that I was putting together my infield. And yeah, the car was a handful, but it was able to keep it clean.
No, Jordan Johnson, you did an amazing job kind of commanding the pace of this race. What is your preparation going into an event like this? Or what is your preparation like for most of your races?
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about the big special events, we're talking 20, 30 hours of prep, but a little bit more calm for this. This is, I just did a couple hours, maybe an hour or two before. Spent so much time on Daytona recently. I have probably multiple work weeks on this track in the past 2-3 months, so I'm a bit tired of it. I'm glad that now it's finally in the rearview mirror and I don't need to touch it for a couple months. Yeah, it was really just an hour to get myself refamiliarize myself with the track and then make sure I was comfortable with the setup, because I've been mostly doing prototypes. So I had to get used to the Porsche, had to get used to the low downforce rear engine, and once I got on top of that, I was pretty good from there.
Right on. Now that Daytona is behind us for 360 days, preparation looking forward for the GT4s at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, GT4s, it used to be my bread and butter. Now they're quite different from what I'm used to. So I probably expect to run a little bit more time. I'll see what's going on in the officials or what GT4s are really going around and what pace they're running. And from there, I'll kind of spend some time seeing how hard it is for me to get up to pace. That will probably determine really how much I'm really putting in. The GT4s, and they're so much more tricky under braking now, and that's somewhere that I feel like I started to excel recently in the past year or two in sim racing. So it should be pretty good. I don't want to get too overconfident because it is still a completely new challenge. Not many people have run those cars very competitively, so we'll see once we get to it.
Thanks for sharing, Jordan.
And now, Jordan, before we do let you go here, is there anybody that you would like to thank for the win here tonight?
Yeah, of course, just my new team, Soulpack Precision Racing, and we've been kind of on a crazy journey since I left my old team. And yeah, they've put together something pretty special. We've been picking up a lot of new talent. That's been really exciting. And yeah, I can't thank them enough for the support they've been giving me. They've kind of helped reinvigorate a sense of enjoyment in sim racing and allowed me to get my head down and start grinding a bit more than I used to, especially over the past calendar year. So, I mean, I have nothing but thanks for the rest of them and the crew and everyone else that supports us.
That's awesome to hear, Jordan. We thank you again for taking part, and thank you for taking the victory here once again. The Team America Talent Scout event race 1 done and dusted for Daytona, and Jordan Johnson is your victor. Jordan, enjoy the champagne.
Thank you.
Now moving up next, we will be hearing from both of our other drivers. We'll be hearing from them very shortly, but Sagar, a very, very, I guess, typical interview from Jordan Johnson. He prepared, he did the time, got up to pace, and then put the result out. I mean, what more do you expect from him?
Yeah, especially from such a driver with nearly 10K of I rating. I had to double check to make sure, but yes, 9.3K I rating for Jordan Johnson. What else can you expect in a driver that came to work prepared, dedicated, and ready to show out?
And as always, I mean, that's what you can expect from him, and that's why he's, of course, being a double winner in the Team America Talent Scout event, and now being the first one to have the hat trick. We now, though, get to talk to one of our newer drivers for the Team America Talent Scout event, Cale Davidson. Cale, first off, how you doing on this evening here? Great race, especially race 1. You almost had it with the slipstream, but it just slipped out of grasp.
I'll say for sure the slipstream was definitely really strong, and I feel like my setup was definitely stronger through the infield, but Jordan had just such a low downforce setup that even with the slipstream, I didn't know if I could have gotten him, so that's why I was just kind of bumping him through the first race. And I knew for the second race that's what it would take, is just stay within that draft and just try to be even closer. But then going into international, the back end got a little loose, so I just held on and then just tried to finish strong.
Makes sense. Yeah, and seeing that obviously with the race 1 pace keeping up so close, you kind of took the words out of my mouth for the second question in race 2. That explains what happened. Now, after that, you did manage to recover. You managed to keep the pace solid after that. So in terms of the setup, I mean, you mentioned the fact you had it pretty hammered down very well. How much preparation did you have going into this event?
So actually a good bit. This is my first couple months driving the Porsche, but we ran this car for the Daytona 24, and I ran it with 2 different teams. So we have quite a lot of lap time in this car. It's definitely the fastest car with no BOP, so that's why half the field was kind of driving it today. But yeah, I mean, we ran more of the sprint version of the setup instead of our full endurance setup, and we just kind of fine-tuned it for qualifying just to get the correct amount of laps to stay out, and then same for the race, so that it's just barely enough fuel to finish the line.
Now, Cale, you did a tremendous job staying within touching distance of a guy named Jordan Johnson. That's got to make you feel pretty good about yourself. Now, P2 isn't the top step of the podium. How do you expect to showcase your skills here with the Talent Scout USA event?
I mean, I'm hoping to kind of show my skills, because in the past with different leagues that I've ran or whatnot, it's the same car and kind of same series throughout. So I'm pretty excited that it is a bunch of different cars throughout that, because I feel like that's one of my key features, is that my adaptability and being able to just change quickly between cars. So I'm really looking forward to driving some things that I never have before, but then also driving cars that I am very comfortable in.
That's awesome. And looking forward to the GT4s and the open wheeler F4s, or sports car more your forte?
Really, I can go back and forth on either. I definitely have favorites in each category, but I mean, I'm pretty dead even. It just depends on how much time I put into each car.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Cale. Really appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you,
Now,
guys.
before you do go, Cale, is there anybody that you would like to thank for your second place here tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely want to shout out all my teammates here at Ball State Esports. So we got Jake, Dylan, Broden, Nathaniel. We all put on a pretty good show tonight, which I thought was pretty good. And then shout out my mom, my dad, and my girlfriend, Sylvia.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Cale. Pleasure to have you on here for tonight, and looking forward to having you in the next races. Go and enjoy the rest of your evening. That's going to be Cale Davidson, everybody, your second place finisher for the Team America Talent Scout Race 2. Confident. I like the sound of it. Confidence heading into it. And for the FIA F4s, that's kind of one that I've heard a lot of drivers, they're very shaky on. So the fact that he sounds confident there, we'll certainly see how that plays a prospect.
I'm super excited to see the drivers get tested and the variety of cars that we have for the sports car series or for the road course series here. The next 6 months are all based on that road car category. And it's, again, my bread and butter. It's what I love to watch. So I I'm going to watch every single event, no matter what, and stay glued to the edge of my seat to see what Jordan Johnson, Cale Davidson, and Nathaniel Fryman can do, and also some guys at the back of the pack. I want to see those mid-pack battles as well.
Yes, indeed. We have plenty of battles throughout, and also lots of dramas that had happened and drivers that ended up in the back that definitely should not have been. So many opportunities to come. Now, though, before we get into more of that, let's interview our P3 finisher here for tonight overall in the points, and that's going to be Nathaniel Fryman. And Nathaniel, it's been a hard-pressed effort here for tonight. There was some ups, there was some downs, but at the end of the day, P3 was the position you managed to secure. How does it feel?
Oh, it feels great. I was happy with how the car felt throughout the race. I was just able to crank out consistent laps, and the front two kind of ran away each race, so I was just kind of on my own for most of it, but, you know, kept it together for the most part.
Now, race 2, there was some dramas that had happened. Now, at some point in time, you were certainly looking like you weren't going to be finishing P3. We had the dramas with Broden Gray. What exactly happened there? I mean, you guys were not locked up. I mean, I think the gaps were fairly secure. I don't think there was any contact that happened. We didn't quite see what led to you ending up with this scuffle and moving around with Roman passing you, and so much happened in such a short period of time. Why don't you take us through that?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, Broden and I, we were having a good battle. And so we were just going back and forth for like a lap or so, and going to the bus stop. I mean, we were side by side. I was trying to like side draft as much as I could, and I just got a little too close, and then with iRacing's like netcode kind of stuff, we kind of just got stuck together, and it sent him spinning, and then Roman was able to catch up and get by, and couldn't get P3 back eventually, but
Yeah, that was a hard-fought battle with Gray there in the final closing stages. One of the questions I was going to ask was about that same situation, Mike. You stole it out from under me, but I get to ask about my favorite driver of the day, Roman Lee, right now. Now, you had Lee in front of you in the final, 5 minutes of the race, and you were closing at a really good rate. You're definitely on for a faster lap than Lee was. Now, did you think that you had the opportunity to get by him? What was your thought process after getting involved in an incident and you're still trying to fight for a podium?
yeah, I mean, all I knew was, well, that sucks. I didn't mean to do that. And then I just had to kind of put my head down, get back up to Roman, and just try and make something work, which he was defending really well. So props to him. I was trying to set something up in a turn one each lap, and then like last lap I was trying to make a move in every single corner I could and just wasn't able to make it happen.
Man, thank you very much for that explanation and letting us into the mindset of a racing driver in the final stages of a second heat event. Gotta feel a little fatigued, gotta feel a little bit blurry, gotta feel a little bit thirsty at the end of that race, but you're still making the right decisions. Great to see you on track, sir.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Now, Nathaniel, before you do move on here tonight, is there anybody that you would like to thank for your third place here?
I'd like to thank Ball State Esports. They've been helping me develop as a driver and get faster. I'd like to thank all my friends and family, obviously, who have supported me getting into sim racing, which has been awesome, and I've enjoyed it so much. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, we certainly hope to see you around, Nathaniel, and we hope to see you doing well at the Red Bull Ring come next month. And on that note, again, enjoy the rest of your evening. Nathaniel Fryman, everybody, your P3 finisher for the Daytona.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Take care.
Thank you. Now, Sauger, that's the interviews done, dusted, and over with here for the night. We've talked about the highlights. We've talked about the dramas. There's still a lot more to talk about, to be honest, but is there any closing thoughts before we do get ready to end this one here for tonight?
Like you said so many times throughout this broadcast, Mike, I want to thank all the viewers as well as the drivers for putting on such an amazing show for us tonight. Give a big shout out to yourselves, a pat on the back for the viewers, and an applause for all of the drivers for showing up and showing out for the Team America Talent Scout event 2026 for round number 1. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support.
Yes, indeed. And on that, of course, a massive thank you to all of our sponsors as well, everybody that makes these events possible. We massively thank, of course, our new partners, both Regadget as well as, of course, our Roku partnership over on the Esports Edge channel. Massive shout out if you were watching over there. We thank you all so much for tuning in. Also, of course, big thank you to eClutch over in the Mana region. So if you are watching there, we thank you as well. But folks, that's going to do it for tonight. If you do want to sign up for the future Team America Talent Scout events, as well as our all-women series, our Screen to Speed events, you can head on over to initesports.gg/carsim. Find all of the information over there. Plenty of links in the Twitch, plenty of links in the YouTubes. If you are looking to find us as well, hit that like and subscribe button. But folks, that's going to do it. We'll be back on Wednesday for our midweek double dash. But until then, I hope absolutely everybody, and again, a massive thank you to our producer, Tom Bryant, behind the scenes, and AK Esports UK. But until next time, folks, I hope absolutely everybody has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night. Thank you.